Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. In our lives, we are gifted the opportunity to meet some very special people. Today, we are visiting with one of those women. She has the gracefully strong presence to both command the room, yet make you feel like you've been lifelong friends. She's multifaceted, and I swear every time we talk, I discover yet another talent, accolade, or credential she has earned. She's a businesswoman, an artist, a broker, and well, let's just bring her on so she can tell us everything. So please help me welcome Lezlee Liljenberg, owner of Lezlee Liljenberg Allstate. Hello, Lezlee.
Hello, Amber. Thank you so much. And wow, thank you for the introduction. That was awesome.
Oh, well, I think you're awesome.
Oh, ditto, girlfriend. Serious.
Well, thanks for being here. I could go off the script, but maybe I should just start by saying, okay, what have you been up to since we spoke last? Because this is always an adventure.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, well, we've just been holding down the fort. You know, it's just with all of COVID and trying to keep people settled. It's just, it's a tough time. I mean, being in the insurance business is just, people are just, they're struggling already in their day-to-day lives. But then, you know, insurance isn't always the thing everybody wants to pay a bill for. And that has been something we've seen a real shift, possibly even in loyalties a little bit. And people don't want to shift their loyalties, but they're having to do so due to financial situations. So that's what we've been doing a lot. That's not a real fun answer, but it seems like that's what we're doing.
Well, that's what we call real, and that's why we're here, right?
Right.
We are here to cover all of the real. So, Lezlee, as you share your Silhouette of Success story with us today, would you like to tell us a little bit more about your background?
Well, I came out of school from UTA, went to the University of Texas at Arlington with a degree in journalism and public relations. Thought I wanted to be a journalist and work for a newspaper, and I found out very quickly that, quite honestly, the pay wasn't I would have been a millennial, right? I would not think that was enough money. So I moved from that, and I went directly I actually worked for Coldwell Banker Commercial Real Estate, which was a wonderful program back in the 80s, and they hired us as like interns, and we went through all the programs. I spent several years with them, so I was in the commercial real estate business for right about 15 years. Got out of that business, left corporate America. I'm a welder, and I started welding when I was 30, so we're talking 27 years now. I wish it was 17, 27. And I was a full-time artist for about 5 or 6 years. Probably like the journalism world, it wasn't quite, as starving artist wasn't quite what it was all cut out to be. So I left that and went back to corporate America. And as I did that, I realized I wanted to own my own business. I was working many hours and just tired, worn out. And I said, well, if I'm going to be tired, worn out, but making money, I wanted to own my own business. And that's how I stepped away from working for a corporation and starting my own insurance agencies.
Not surprising synopsis, I think, because you have all of that. You just illuminate, and you're down to earth, and you're just so business savvy. And so none of that surprises me. But again, I didn't know all those details. So that's really cool to hear.
Well, you know, my parents would think, you know, back then Dad was with Southwestern Bell for 38 years. You know, back doing all that, you know, my parents probably thought I was a little flaky because everybody stayed with a job forever, right?
Right.
But that, the world was beginning to change and accept that it was okay to have different jobs. And I think that if I had to stress to anything to younger people, older people, people also in their 40s and 50s and 60s, it doesn't matter, but not to necessarily be a job hopper. But if you're really not happy in a job, you don't have to stay there, because you're just going to make yourself miserable, those around you, and then you're not going to be fair to the business that you work for. That's what I've seen many times as an employer. That is what I always try to give advice to anybody that works for me. If you're just not happy, it's okay to move on. It is.
It takes strength and courage not only to take time and have clear mind to see that for yourself, but actually to do it. But for you in the leader role that you're in as the business owner and boss, for you to have to or be able to say that to somebody, because of course you're seeing the flip side of it, but you've also been in that seat and been there before yourself.
There is, to me in life, there is nothing worse. That's a couple of things. There's nothing worse than waking up and putting your feet on the ground and having to go to a job that you're just miserable. It just affects everything. Second would be being in a marriage that's not working. To me, those would be the two most miserable things, to just stay stuck in something. And I know it's scary. It's not easy to step away from all that even those things you're comfortable with. You've been in a job maybe 10 years, maybe just a year. It's never easy to make change, but it's something that I think is imperative. Again, it's not something, I don't like this, I'm not going to try to work it out, but the attitude of there are other opportunities. But you have to work at it, and you have to grow, and you have to, you have to educate yourself and continue to take classes. And you're great at that, Amber, as well. You and I are very kindred spirits in that way, that we like to learn new things. We enjoy trying new opportunities and just not be afraid of it. It's okay if we fall on our fannies and get back up. It's okay.
Yeah, and we have done that. It's not necessarily, I don't think, sometimes out of, the bold courage is right there.
Right,
you just, take those reins. It's all right. Well, so what's next? How do we adjust? Or which we've all encountered quite a bit of that over this past year. Speaking on that boss, business owner leadership role, where do you turn when you need maybe some collaboration or support in that role that you take?
That is really a good question. And I'm not always the best at it, because I think that you have to surround yourself with other successful women or men. But early on, I was told, one, we all know you're going to run with the people that's what you want to be. Don't be around people that are going to drag you down, or they don't have a lot of the same goals that you have. And that's very difficult in our lives, because not all of us were born into money and prestige. But I circle myself with very supportive women. I do not stay around a lot of women that are not supportive of me and me supporting them, emotionally, sometimes financially, whatever it might take. My husband is a huge support for me. Many, many times I don't know how I would do it. My mother was a huge support for me. She passed away 2 years ago. She was always a great sounding board, even though she had never really been in business. My God, I could not sustain each day without God. I just could not. My prayers, my meditations, my devotionals, I don't do it. I'm not as good as I should be at it. So I get, really, it's your friends, your family. My spouse, God. I actually, through the years, have gone to outside counseling. It's lonely at the top sometimes, being the boss and having to make the decisions, and everybody looks at you to be doing the right thing. And that's not always easy, because none of us always do the right thing every day.
There's that aspect that most of us are human, right?
Yes.
And it is some intense pressure, when you have the responsibility of running the business and being, I call it the rainmaker, bringing in the business, nurturing, but also you've got employees with families, and you've got employees. Exactly. And so it is complete teamwork to have that support system to help us through those times. And fortunately, I would say that I feel so blessed to have you in that circle. So you would be one of those in my circle. texting you real quick. But when you find yourself going through and maybe planning the next steps or, your goals and your dreams, whether it be for the business or maybe the artistic aspect of that or other things that you're doing, how do you make adjustments in the positive to help support yourself in the accountability or attaining some, whether they're micro goals or huge goals? How do you do that?
Well, I have always been a big reader. I do read a lot. I mean, now I know we're in the world of podcasting, learning from shows like this. We didn't have this back in the 80s and 90s and really not until the last few years. So, I mean, I think shows like this and the podcast, that is such a positive way for people to learn. Reading, sometimes I ask my friends, do you read? I've got a great book for you to read. Nope, I don't read. Give me a synopsis. I just do a lot of research. I look into different endeavors. Is this something that I want to do to take my business to a different direction? Not all things fit for everybody. I'm a very old school sales rep marketing person. It works for me. I'm a very one-on-one relationship person. But boy, I mean, COVID has made me need to look at my life differently and how I sell and how I interact with people. What do I do to do that? I get on, and of course, you couldn't tell by me trying to get on technologically with you just a minute ago, but I think we just have to seek out those sources and those resources that give us the right tools to grow and to gain. I will say this, never, never, never think that you cannot continue to grow, continue your education wherever that is, and figure out if it leads you. There's many things that I've picked up to do. I looked at doing private investigations through my insurance company. I looked into it, and when I really researched it, I decided, no, this isn't really something I want to do. It's okay to look into something, go a little down the pathway, and then back up and say, no, that's really not for me. My main thing is don't be afraid. That's the most positive, is don't be afraid and just have confidence in yourself that you can move down a pathway, and it's okay to back up and realize it's not for your business or it's not for you. It's not a good fit for your employees even.
That's cool. And it's funny in a way because I'm a note taker. Well, again, I know these podcasts will live in eternity.
Right.
I'm a note taker. I've got journals. I've got, just books and copious notes, scribbles of whatever. But I'm sitting here reflecting back here, and what you just said is your old school one-on-one. That would be me as well. Yes, it was a little bit of a technology challenge, but you know what? You and I are now, telling everybody we're on a phone call, recording it that way. And isn't that rather ironic that we're on a phone call? Because that's how I grew up. You've got your marching orders, a sales business. You go knocking on the doors, you make the phone calls instead of the texts and the emails. And yes, that technology is cutting edge, and, the bells and whistles of what we were trying to log on and record the podcast with that technology. But you know what? How genuine is this? Because it's real. It's real. We had to adapt. We're versatile, and I think that's a big strength that you have in being tenacious in your business. And like you talked about, exploring different avenues. We had to explore, and we're going to keep rolling.
I agree, Amber. It is so important that you don't take every single thing. If it just doesn't go right that day, it's not a defeat. Just, hey, I learned from this today. I didn't like how it went, but that's okay. I can make it better the next time. And I had a radio show for 5 years, so I understand those technical difficulties we went through, and there's always another way to skin the cat. The thing is, I learned by doing that. I mean, eventually, Allstate basically made me shut down my radio show, and I intend to go back and be doing it again. But exactly what you just said, you have to kind of circle your wagons. You have to come in a different direction. Hey, a phone call is still we're on these phones, and it still works. And
that's right.
We found a different way, and that's really important too. I mean, no matter what we're talking of, any age, any scale, any lifestyle, it doesn't matter. You can't just go, okay, that didn't work, I'm not going to try again, because there's still another way to fix an issue or fix a problem. Whether we're talking on the phone doing this or we're talking about success is a different definition for everyone. And we're looking at, building a business or starting a business. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have not made it and tried something different and that have been extremely successful.
I think that's where most of the magic is, right? you know, when you try it, and, you know, sometimes you don't know what's going to come out of it. And sometimes you don't know what that next milestone or goal that you hit might open up a different door that maybe, you know, as you talked about God and believing, and I'm with you on that, but you just don't know where your path is going to lead you. And if you don't get out there and try, then we don't know.
Exactly.
You mentioned you're a big reader, and I know you value education both in your industry and I think just in general. And so that's great to hear you talk about that and research, because I always get a kick out of on your social media and seeing the different awards or your education. Those are significant to me. I value that greatly, and I know all your employees and clients and anybody that comes into contact with you appreciates you investing in yourself in that. But what are maybe some favorite authors, or do you have a favorite book, or what would you share with our audience? What are some favorites?
Well, one of my favorites, when I was really trying to make some changes in my life, moving from the art business and going back into corporate America, it was a tough decision-making time for me. Elana Van Zandt, I may say her name wrong, Elana Van Zandt, she was really kind of made famous through Oprah. And the name of the book is In the Meantime. And it's one of my favorite reads ever. And I think anytime we find a favorite book, I think we always have to step back and say, okay, that was for me in my stage of life, that it touched me. And I've given that book many, many times to friends. And she had an audio tape DVDs set that went with it a little bit. But that book made a huge impact on me because it talks about being in the basement, and she uses a house as an analogy. We all get into the basement at times, but what are you going to do to move to your first floor, to the second floor, to the third floor? And surprisingly enough, we really all want to be in the attic at the end of what we're trying to succeed and do. That's the analogy of the book. I cannot stress how much it changed my life, because it really made me think, you know what, I've got to go through the different levels to get to the end. And it also talks about there are people in your life that they're only there for a meantime. In the meantime, I know we talk about, you know, seasons of life, and they're just some people, it's okay to let them go, and they were there for a reason, but they don't need to be there in your life forever. And I don't know if that sounds kind of cutthroat or not, but I don't mean
no,
for
I think
it to.
It's real, right?
Right.
That's what has to happen. And it's difficult, I think, the journey to recognize when it's happening and then to actually accept, okay, I need to take action for my own health or mental happiness or success or growth, right? So I think it's courageous, not cutthroat, to actually be able to do that, because many folks will not have the support system or not, you know, just have it innately. Some people, I can do it right away.
Yeah.
Right. You know, that's quite okay too. But, you know, for the bulk of folks, it might take a little bit. But once you do recognize that, it's a big step, but it's a needed.
Well, it's not always easy to recognize or to admit that maybe even someone's caustic in your life, but they don't even have to be caustic. It doesn't even have to be really bad or traumatic or anything. Sometimes there's just friends even that you can love, but you're on a different line. You're not parallel anymore. I mean, you're going the opposite direction. So that's okay to accept and understand, and not. It doesn't mean they can't be your friend, but it doesn't mean that you need to be involved with them all the time. And that is a difficult step to make sometimes, but I think we have to recognize what and how someone is impacting us. The other thing about letting someone go is that you may need to let them go for them. It's not always about us, right? And what we get from it. There is a book I'm reading right now. It's by Dr. Henry Cloud, and it's exactly what we're talking about. It was recommended to me, actually purchased for me from a very good dear girlfriend of mine. And the name of the book is called Necessary Endings. And it does talk about exactly what we're talking about right now, about there are times in our lives that sometimes it's business relationships, sometimes it's in business. It's even letting go of an idea that we just keep hanging on to in our businesses and it's not working, or in our lives, a relationship. So that book is an easy read. It's a little deep at times, but it really does talk about the different people's personalities, and why we have to have those necessary endings. So I recommend that one too. It's really helped me in the last few weeks of reading it.
Well, I'm excited. I've written them both down, but of course we will be showing those in the resource section so everybody else can take a look at that. So thank you. I always value solid reads. 200 books in 2020, Lezlee, is my goal. Can you believe it? No. I should have had you hold me accountable that, in January, because, I'm going to have to kick it into gear here as I watch the calendar wind down. So
does Dr. Seuss count?
You know what? He does.
I think the Grinch That Stole Christmas should count in your book reading.
Sure did count. Yes, recently he's been very important to me. So.
We did a Grinch Christmas, all Grinch last year, so that's why I get a kick out of that one. So
you know what? But there's valuable lessons. I will tell you. I'll take credit for reading quality content. Hey, Lezlee, how do you relax and unwind? You've got quite a, I wouldn't say high pressure, perhaps, maybe you can, high performance, but you're in there on a daily. And how do you really separate, unplug, relax, unwind? What would you do for yourself?
I do try to take my time in the morning to read through. I have 4 different devotional books, very quick, they're simple. A little bit of meditation time. I would like to get back into yoga. I have not been doing that. I think walking, exercise, and truly, I hate to admit this, but I like game shows on TV. So seriously, there's a newer show. It's called 25 Words or Less. I'm kind of addicted to it, but that's fun for me. It's still it makes my brain work, but at the same time, I'm not trying to win. I don't have to win. I don't have to compete with anybody. And I enjoy Jeopardy. I just think I sound like probably some old person, but that's relaxing for me. And I've binged on some too, I think there was one called Queen, or I just finished Schitt's Creek. Those are fun for me too, but I tend to try and stay away from it. And then also my artwork. You know that I do the beaded skulls, the longhorn skulls, and that's very relaxing for me. I turn my music on and I work on my artwork, and that kind of takes me out of all the worries, and I don't have to think about anything for a while, and then it pulls me back to reality.
That's wonderful.
There were several answers to your one question.
No, it's all. Hey, it's what you do, and because we never know, we can share something that might trigger or spark something for somebody else, and like the game shows. That tickles me because it's a relaxing form of engagement of your brain, but probably rather soothing.
Yes, well,
to play along, but without the pressure,
without having to win,
without the pressure. And yes, your artwork, everything you touch is golden, and they are exquisite. And I'm hoping that. Next question, as we wrap this up, I'm going to ask you to share where can everybody go to keep up with you and support your continued success or to connect with you. Do you have socials or anything you'd like to share?
I have Facebook, and it's Lezlee Liljenberg, Lezlee, and then Liljenberg, Liljenberg. I'm on Instagram. I do some of that. I'm really trying to connect a little bit more through Instagram. And then I have a blog. I have not promoted it a great deal in the last 2 years. Again, I have a lot of restrictions through the company that I represent, Allstate. We have a lot of regulations and a lot of compliance issues. So I tend to probably step back a great deal from that. But my blog is IAM Lezlee. Some of my artwork's on there. Some of the speaking that I do, topics on speaking are on there. So that is probably the best place to connect with. I've written a couple of little books, a cookbook, and then I wrote a kind of what I call a chat book that's called Bucket Filler. It talks about just what nice things to do for yourself and nice things to do for other people. So that's really the easiest way to connect with me, and has my cell phone number on there as well.
Perfect. I just learned 3 new things. I had no idea about that. Wow. Okay. I will be on there when we hang up. And one more thing before I let you go, as I have made a promise to share intentional inspiration, and with your Silhouette of Success story, is there one piece of key go-to advice that you would like to share with our audience?
I think it's a little synopsis, really, of everything we've been talking about. The best piece of advice I can ever give to anyone is don't sell yourself short. And I know that this kind of sounds cliche-ish, and I know that it's, well, what do you mean by that? But I think that everyone has got to sit down, and we talked about journaling. You need to identify who you are and what you want and really look at yourself. And sometimes we just don't know, but there is something deep within each one of us, whether it's artistic, whether we're good business, whatever there is. God gave each one of us a gift, and he gave us many gifts, as a matter of fact. And identifying those gifts, that is what I would recommend to anybody. Just take some time with yourself. Learn how to be alone with yourself. Love yourself. Just work on you, because no one else is out there. No one's job is to make you happy. It's your job to make you happy. Then you can step out and do other things.
Perfect ending to a perfectly wonderful call. Thank you so much for joining me and joining us.
I missed you so much. I can't believe it. It's been so long, and our Women's Steering Business Group, I miss all of them.
Yes, I do too. The most phenomenal group of women I've ever encountered. So, yes, we're ready to get back. Well, okay. Thank you again, Lezlee, for your time, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out, and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another Silhouette of Success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.